Now, the only problem with the story in Eden is, like I said, two things was told to Eve that didn't even apply to what was going on. One was the tree was in the middle of the garden, and the second was not to touch it, lest she died, right? Had those two things not been said between Adam and Eve, because Adam's the only one who could have told her that, right? Now, if he knew, and he didn't tell his wife, it would be all on him, right? Right. Now, he attempted to tell her something, right? Obviously so, wouldn't you? You mean tell me Adam would not attempt to tell his wife, there's a tree you're not supposed to eat of? Now, his problem was he tried to get specific when God did so in a non-specific way, right? Now, the reason God did that is he knew it wasn't literally a tree, but metaphorically a tree. God had his own reasons for doing that. That was grace for us, right? Meaning, he knew Adam could also be influenced by Satan to make a mistake, right? He also knew Adam could figure it out in a way for himself, but he also knew he was there, so Adam could also ask him if he had any questions, specifically which tree he wasn't supposed to eat of, right? In at least the 25 fruit tree environment, right? And then there was two trees, one in the middle of the garden and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So there's, 27 trees if they were all fruit trees anyway. Now, the tree of the life is not even available to us because of the sin, right? So we're still eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But is this metaphorically or literally? Right. So if it's metaphorically a tree, what kind of tree was it? Well, all the way to know is to study into the Torah or the Bible, right? Now, listen to these words. Be fruitful and multiply, right? God said that to everything, including the trees, the animals, Adam, and the trees, right? Now, Moses in the book of Deuteronomy mentions curses and blessings, and he blesses the fruit of the cattle, the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your field, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? Right. Now, drinking of the tree of life is just as simple as doing the works Jesus tried to do when he was here 2,000 years ago. But he had to wait until after his public execution, right, to tell some of the things to the disciples because it's considered unfinished business for a ghost or an apparition or something like that to stay behind anyway. Now, if someone has what's called unfinished business and you keep trying to hurt them or murder them, God has the option to save that person if they're doing something for it and it wants that person to do it for them too, right? Now, if God healed all the people it healed in the Bible, right, it can heal anyone if it chooses, right, at any time, right, of anything, including death. That's all I'm saying. It's possible that some things were happening to me as recently as yesterday because my watch is suddenly missing from my whole house. And you know what I do, right? If you have something like this right here, where do you put it? Right where you can fucking find it, idiot. This tape deck, this, like this empty cassette tape holder is right here, right? Why? Because I set it on top of something so that if I needed to put the blank tape in the tape deck, the tape holder is right there, right? My CDs, where are they? Right here. Right? Why? Because that's where I set them. Because in case I want to look at one, I can at any time, right? So again, that's what we all do. My country song was set on top of my books and it ain't moved since I set it up there, right? Right. Now, if you come home from a walk, right, and suddenly your watch is missing, you ain't been nowhere, right? Like with the keys or like with anything else, what's your first move? You look for it where you might have been, right? That's what a logical, reasonable, rational person who was always rational before he joined the Navy, by the way, but didn't go crazy until 2.5 years later or so. Right. But was pretty much trying to work on the ship too, right? But couldn't, because his shipmates in the electrical division would not train him in how to be an electrician. Now, no one goes into a job and who has minimum experience about electricity and only has a school under their belt, right? And knows everything to do on the ship, right? Because the thing about any school, the school is to familiarize you with how to do some of the job, right? But when you get to the ship, you get what's called hands-on experience. Well, for 2 years, 10 months, I had no further electrical experience other than a school, right? Now, the problem with that is you tend to forget things unless it's familiarized with you day by day, over and over and over again. Now, some idiot on YouTube is insinuating that if something happened between me and my stepdaughter in the 10 years after our divorce, or 9 years after our divorce, whatever, that my wife wouldn't have came forward a long time ago, right? And charged me with a crime, right? In the first place. And then 23 years later, total, plus 13 on YouTube, they're still arguing with me that my wife will let her child interact with her sleeping husband on the couch. Y'all insane, right? Even if she were to, I would bring her back to her safe and sound, period. I don't care what you think. You don't know my personality. And I'm not trying to have anything to do with my wife if they're sleeping in the bedroom together, right? I know if I was to go in there and like you dumbasses, I get busted possibly, right? No one's paranoid schizophrenic where you're afraid people are trying to hurt you anyway. Would just do something that crazy and not wake up the mom. Now, I don't even know if the bedroom door was unlocked or not either before I went to sleep. Until I can move back to base, right? But I do know I was on the couch while the girl was at her biological dad's house, right? So here I am, I'm sleeping on the couch. The mother's in the bedroom with the daughter after she gets back from visiting her dad. And on the way after 11 p.m., everyone's asleep, right? Including me, right? Now, they might go to bed a little bit earlier because Daphne has a child, right? And usually women will sometimes go to bed before their husbands, things like that. But I'm still sleeping on the couch, right? You're talking a conspiracy, right? A real one. For that child to come in there to me and interact with me in any way, shape, or form sexually, right? You're talking coaching would be involved. You're talking a lot of shit that aren't, as it's supposed to happen to anyone, would be involved, right? And also, no one but 3 people can know about it. Me, my ex-wife, and the child, right? So you mean to tell me my ex-wife has, for 9 to 10 years, is living in Arkansas, us both minding our own business, moving on with our lives, her raising our son, Jonathan, and stuff like that. And no one has even spoken about this, except maybe when I fail, right? That's the only place that could have been brought up. That's the only place I blacked out where I have amnesia from what happened, right? Now, the according though to my mind or my memory, I just fell down and woke up in the ER, right? I don't know exactly how long later, but normally it's within 10, 20, 30 minutes, something like that, right? When you're found. You're talking a murder conspiracy on base by at least a group of sellers against one seller who might have landed a fault, right? That's what I mean there too, right? We can argue anything, right? But when you get violent and try to murder someone like you're a fucking vigilante, that's crazy, right? And I don't know if they succeeded or not, because I either was resurrected from the dead or I was injured in the fall. Only two things that happened there, right? But I guarantee you, if I went around to the front, they would have to dump my body in the back. And they would at least say I was dead in doing so. Or knocked out so much I lost my breath, right? Only two ways you can do that, right? Now, like when I was younger, and I've heard of people losing their breath where they couldn't breathe for a few minutes and then regaining it a few minutes later, right? If the same thing could have happened, I don't know that either. But if they took it for granted, right, and did all that to me, hypothetically, right? Can't prove it, but again, anyone could be injured either way in the fall or if they somehow landed the fall, right? And you can't prove either one with a paranoid schizophrenia anyway. He's just paranoid all the time, right? But the injuries, once you start seeing the forensics, will bring out a lot of information about whether he was injured in the fall or not too. So, now I can talk about it all I want, right? It's my story, right? You ain't got no business interfering in it or even knowing about it. You're not supposed to. Right? You're not supposed to know I'm living with a 4-year-old with my ex-wife. Or then wife. Because I don't go around telling people, unless it's a pastor like Pastor Thomas, or someone on the base who got into an argument with me about landing the fall. And like I said, things like that can escalate to a point, but there again, right? And things like that. Now, anyone can study into martial arts, do certain things before they join. Why not? Why not? Even ninjutsu is a real martial arts, right? Now, if you don't even study into it, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Things like that, right? And like I said, that brings us to my first accident, the car accident. Now, like I said, the whole problem with that, I'm learning, right? Didn't know it then, but know more about it now, is that my stepbrother wasn't injured at all. But the hospital said that the full windshield, both driver and passenger side, is what fell out on me, right? Well, my stepbrother should have been in the passenger side and should have had to at least raise his own hands and cut up at least his own hand like I did, right? One or both. Well, this looks like a staged accident after I got my stepbrother to Vivian, his girlfriend's, and something happened at Vivian's house, not at Dead Man's Curve, which is what the curve's called. Reason it's called Dead Man's Curve is there's a few people died going around at a high rate of speed. Well, if I know that, am I going to go 45, 55 miles an hour to wreck the car? No. But we've seen this in the Dukes of Hazzard a few times. If you put a brick on a car, right, you can wreck the car even if the driver is unconscious, right? If you put it on the accelerator, right? We've all seen this in movies and stuff like that, right? Well, anyway, that's what would have to happen, right, for me alone to be injured. But that would also mean I was either knocked out or repeatedly murdered or something like that too. I don't know. Now, I've always been a believer in Jesus and the miracles in the Bible, right? Now, I also knew about the Highlander, the ninjas and stuff like that too. And of course, I would use that to defend myself if something went wrong at Vivian's house. Now, I do know and have a few suspects. Johnny North and David Pelham. And Roddy and Mark Crutchfield. And Vivian and maybe one of her daughters or something, right? Could be involved. Now again, there's no memory of this. I have amnesia. I blacked out in my mind as soon as I turned down the road and woke up in the hospital after I went through all the normal stuff in the ER too, right? So if someone wrecked the car on purpose and no one knew about it at the house, unless I called Marcine for some other reason, right? And something happened at Vivian's house, like there was some kind of ambush or something with David Pelham and Johnny Norris, right? Well, if that happened, right, I wouldn't have any real memory of that, but I would know once I got back to school, they were gone, right? And I would know through my memory who had a problem with me and who could have been involved, right? Now, it was more Johnny who had the grudge, right? Because he was dating the older woman than he went, right? Now, like I said, I've heard rumors that David Pelham let two guys rape his younger brother Matthew from a friend of mine named David Maddox. And that's the point there too, right? Now, I don't know those guys' names, but they were, according to David Maddox, twin brothers, big guys, and again, that would be at least 4-1 in Little Roddy, but maybe I could scare a few of them off, right? But at least 4-3, right? People was there to initiate a fight, right? So let's say Johnny Norris, the two twins, David Pelham, and Roddy set all this up, right? They're the only ones who could have. So anyway, Roddy asked, I'm dropping Roddy off at Vivian's house, and he asked me to come in and, for a few seconds or whatever, and something happens between there and there, right? And I go into the house and I find David Pelham and something like that, right? Johnny Norris and the two twins. Well, I wouldn't even know who they were, right? They were taught in doing it with them, right? That means Johnny and David were afraid they might not get handle me, right? So they brought in the two brothers who raped David's brother, right? Well, that means it was something sexual. They were going to try and rape me there, right? At Vivian's house, right? Well, that shit never went down, right? I blacked out because they would have to knock me out or something, right? Now, of course, in the court process of talking about it, right? Because statutes of limitations runs out on attempted murder unless you're still trying to murder the person you tried to murder in 16, right? Now, again, attempted murder is still a crime, right? And it's punishable according to the law, and anyone can be charged with attempted murder even if the person heals through his faith in Jesus. It's still attempted murder, right? Now, we can argue religion all you want, but you cannot put your hands on me, steal my watch and shit, and people not be suspicious, even if I'm paranoid and schizophrenic, and explaining to you life's simplicities, right? Now, no matter how strode my house is, when I get home, where am I going to put my watch for a few minutes if I need to do something or go to the bathroom? Somewhere where I can find it easily. Like my still empty tape holder, right? Sitting the same place I left it the day or two before when I started talking to you about the tapes and showed you how to use one, right? It ain't moved from its location since I put it there, right? Right. Same thing with my watch, right? If I'm going to put it somewhere, I'm going to put it somewhere on the table there, on the coffee table, or in my pockets. And I would look there first, right? Once I realized, hey, my watch is... So then someone drove up, demanded the watch. I either gave it to them because, I was told if someone wants something from you, you give it to them. You don't really fight back on it unless they want to get physical. And then you just give and are going to do something to you either way. Now, all I know is whatever happened, I somehow made it back in the house and relocked my door. Then I remembered I was doing something with the watch and started looking for the watch again, right? That, again, is amnesia, right? But the only way you have amnesia is, again, if someone tries to shoot you, murder you, or something like that, only you healed of it, and amnesiacally came back into your house, locked the door again, and started looking for what you were last doing, which was the watch, right? Now, I've showed you the watch several times on my videos, right? But I've looked the whole house, even where I would normally put it, and it's not there. Now this here is my CD for my X-rays, right? Been sitting on the piano the whole time, ain't moved, right? Now my job is to protect myself, even if I can't rely on my next door neighbor, Mr. Thomas, or Miss Thompson, or anyone around me, right? I have to protect myself and make sure I'm not really being harmed either. I don't know. That's why in the next couple of months I'm going to try and get some video cameras around my house, right? And hide them so they don't know where they're at, right? Both where I can put them on my somewhere where I can record maybe my interests as well, and then also somewhere in the house where I can secretly record if someone comes in and tries to steal something again. And also have it where I can record from my phone and stuff like that, right? And go from there, right? Now that's to prevent any more attempts on my life if that's what's been happening up to this point. Now Thomas, he has all his fucking cameras. That's why I walk by and shoot you a bird, Thomas, right? You're in on it. You're in on it. And I have a right to defend myself even in my own neighborhood. Even if I'm fighting the whole neighborhood, because y'all crazy enough to think you're justified in what you're doing, which is just as illegal, if not worse, than criminal behavior, right? And like I keep telling you, my wife had 9 years to 10 years after our divorce, which took a year itself, between 94 and 2003 or so when I started writing my blogs, to do something about me and her daughter if something happened or not, right? Did she? No! You cannot call someone a pedophile or a homosexual, and they never did either. Unless you're what? A homophobe, right? A homophobe can be just as dangerous as a married man who's trying to have sex with single men on the side, right? Or an adulterous affair with a female. Now, in movies we see this all the time. What usually happens when someone exposes someone as having an adulterous affair? Usually someone dies in that situation, like the girlfriend or the male lover or whatever, right? Or if someone figures it out, that person there too, right? Now, my point would be to, if I guessed all that, it would be to tell them, well, that's just a guess. No one can prove that. It's hypothetical, right? All we are is right here on base right now, right? Or if I somehow made it the church in Ocean View, where Christian Fellowship Church used to be, First Christian Fellowship Church of Norfolk, Virginia, right? Started by Pastor Lloyd Ray Davis and his son-in-law, Edward John Thomas. Well, again, my association with that church made Ben, though he didn't even know about until the 2020 thing, think I was gay, but he thought it the whole time, right? As soon as I got to the ship and got to the generator shop, which was off of the hangar deck, and not the motor rewind shop, which was next to the galley, right? Where we eat our food, right? Now, again, we had a battery shop, which was in the officers' area of the ship. And stuff like that. I remember the whole layout of the ship, because I had to do the watches and shit like that. Now, I would have to familiar myself with the decking system, because I ain't done all that in a long time. But that's what I mean about forgetting something. If no one's training you any further, and you get to the ship, and you're supposed to be an electrician, you get no further training than A school. Same with a watch king, right? If you show someone a watch one time, 2.5 years later, they might forget which knobs to turn and shit like that, right? And you only train them one time, right, Lee? Mm-hmm. How's your E4 career in the Navy going since then, right? I don't know if you got to go continue your career in the Navy, but I was injured on Portsmouth Bay, supposedly in a 3-story fall, right? But anyway, Other than that, no other place would someone even talk or know I had a small child living with me and my ex-wife who was sleeping with her. I know. And like I keep said on the blog, I was sleeping on the couch and because we got into a fight, right? And she was sleeping in the bedroom with her mother. And I jokingly said I could have, but did not molest her, right? That's all I said, right? That was because of what? Law and Order Special Victims Unit, which came out in 1999 on the NBC, right? I just started joking around about that. And Oprah and Dr. Phil and all those talk shows, right? That's not even something Daphne even knew about till the asshole called Garden City Police Department when I was living in 185 A Smith Avenue, acting like I confessed to a crime that could only happen in 1994, right? Now the problem is what? Daphne had 10 years after 1994, because I didn't come on YouTube till around 2004, 2005, right? And I was on live video, and I didn't even mention all that shit, right? And of course, I did my blogs, but I never implicated Daphne in anything, right? All I said was I was sleeping on the couch, and she and the girl in the bedroom, and jokingly said, you can tell it was a joke, because I did not say I definitely did. I said I could have, but didn't, right? Like I said, only someone stewing on that information, right, which could only come out after the fall itself, right? But I have amnesia, so I don't know what happened, right? And any trauma to the head or body can cause you to black out, but it has to be severe trauma, like with a car accident, right? So I was in both, supposedly, right? But I walked away from both, supposedly, right? In my mind, right? Now, if I black out, as soon as I turn down the road, or as soon as I let go of the roof, I'll remember up to a certain point, and again, only I have to figure out what happened to me, alright? Now, if the murderer, and they're murderers, attempted to murder me, right, on base, because we got into some kind of argument about me landing the fall, all I can do is explain to them why I might get landed it, and that would go back to my ninja training when I was in the school and all that, right? Same with David Pelham or Johnny Norris, right? They all knew I was studying into that stuff too, right? Now, I admitted it's book studying. I mean, you can only learn so much from a fucking book, still. But I was walking a tightrope between two trees and jumping off the trailer, stuff like that, right? Well, you know, I was doing headstands, cartwheels, a little bit of gymnastics. We had a swing and I would, you know, do some flips over it like you see in gymnastics. So I was also running, biking, swimming at the river, shit like that. In fact, I'm a beginner swimmer with the Red Cross, so I know how to swim and stuff like that too, right? I'm certified on all that. Now, I didn't become a lifeguard or anything, but again, I'm a certified beginner swimmer when I was about 12, 13 years old with little Roddy and Mark, right? Now, again, but this was when I was younger, but I remember it all too, so if you're blacking out and finding stuff missing and you ain't been nowhere and you know you just sit on your normal places like your table or stuff like that and you already looked there and then you look all through the house like you normally do when you find something missing, like the parable in the Bible where the woman loses her coin, you're going to look for something everywhere you normally would, right? If you don't find it, again, I would sooner be embarrassed than find it later on and it be in the house where I wouldn't normally put it, than to not say anything if someone stole it and tried to hurt me in the process, right? Difference there too. Now this is just to protect myself because my neighbor Thomas has cameras all over his house. If something like that occurred, he would see it all. And he's not helping me, so I gotta consider him a frenemy, right? Anyone who has something that much of a camera system knows if someone drove up into my yard and started to crap with me and who it was. And that's the problem too, right? His name is Thomas. He calls himself Thomas Barberry to me, and that's all I know him as. And same with Tim Holbrook, right? And until I met those two, I didn't have any real problems at Rice Street either. Now I got a job with Tim Holbrook, and he was paying me under table, but he screwed me out of my money twice. I worked for him 2 hours the first night, and he was supposed to pay me hourly, and only gave me a $10 bill. Right? I let it slide because it's only like $4.50 more. Right? And then when I quit because I had a delivery where the guy gave me a 20, but he also had a credit card charge. Right? Well, he signed the credit card charge and gave me a 20, and I didn't even know what was going on, but I guess that was the cover of the tip, and if there was any additional charge, right? But when I got to the deli mart, the amount Tim charged me to pay him was almost all my money, right? So I said, well, what's going on here, right? And I didn't quite catch it that night, right? But then the following day, I was going over my money, and I only made like $2 more than if he had just paid me straight for the hours, right? So I got a hold of him and started telling him, I think you messed up when you were doing the things, the charges, and he said no, he did not, right? Well, if I'm being paid under the table, cannot prove anything if my boss charges me a false charge, right? It's his business, right? If he messed up and won't admit it, I'm screwed, right? Well, that would be the second time he screwed me, and this time would be for real, right? Well, there's an old adage, you screw me once, shame on you. You screw me twice, shame on me, right? That would be the first time he actually fucked up himself and would not admit it, right? And if you don't admit something, ain't no further business with you, right? Now, I think he thought, again, maybe it was an honest mistake. I don't know. But again, he would not accept that something was wrong, and I cannot convince someone who won't listen to me, right? I don't try to do that either. I just walk away. So I quit, turned in my uniform. That was done. Now, since then, I've been trying to get a job at Publix, different things like that, putting in applications, right, and renewing my application at Publix. I've done so for the last 8 months, I think. And I had to re-enter my application for the next 6. Right? I already did it like once or twice. Right? Might be 7 somewhere in there. But anyway, I didn't have a problem with Tim though till that. Though I was having some problems with my hands and stuff like that because of the bill, I guess. Like I said, I worked through all that. I'm better now. I'm getting stronger. What does it kill me? Oh man, make this child shit like that, right? I assumed it was the medication or something, right? Unless it's something more. Now, see, it's my job, if no one else is helping me, to help myself the best I can, and then rely on God to protect me too if I have to call on it in Jesus, right? Now, if the stories in the Bible are true or not, no matter which religion is the truest or falsest, whether we accept it or not, something could have created this whole universe, whether we see it or not, right? And if there's a different dimension, which is something you can't see, cut off from us, but exists in an alternative dimension or realm or reality, only if allowed in can you get in, right? If not, it can cut you off from it, right? That's because if they live in peace there and someone started a war like it's rumored that happened in the Bible, or other religions too, right? That realm would protect itself by cutting off that being in the first place and starting another realm which is not the same as the other realm, right? That looks to me like what happened, right? Now that God, or being, it calls itself a God, but it's just another creature. That being thinks it's a God, right? And has the right to wage war against anyone it does not agree with, right? Or it thinks is doing what it considers evil. That's just, in its mind, what it thinks you're doing wrong. Well, that's like me being a real pedophile which Daphne would have called the cops that night. Right. If I was a real pedophile, no one sits on it for 3 weeks either when I fail, right? She would have called the cops then, right? Even if that was to come up and I somehow landed the fall, and they, again, would have to attempt to murder me and knock me out, right? Now, is that proof of it? No, it's a hypothetical. No one can prove a hypothetical because I should have just failed, like normal. And either I could have landed it or not, right? Now, my assumption until now, I didn't land it. I must have hit my head against the side of the building. Right? But there's always two sides to every coin. There's the head and the tail. Now, in the Bible, it says you are the head and not the tail and stuff like that too, right? But we both have a head and a tail, right? Ourselves. Well, they tried to paralyze me below the waist because that's what would happen naturally in the 3-story fall. Mm-hmm. Now, it's one thing to be injured in a real fall, too. The injuries might be different than what? If attacked, then in the fall, too, right? That's why I'm showing you other people's x-rays and injuries, right? Things like that, right? That covers me when I do stuff like that to show someone could have attacked me without my knowledge of it when I blacked out both times now, right? And like I said, if you don't do something with Little Roddy, right, and you do something only with me, whatever you do to me until I'm healed or whatever, or go to the hospital or whatever, either way, you got to get someone to the morgue, right? Because my parents would care, and even if Roddy or Mark or someone else don't, right? Again, these are just logical things you would try to explain to a person trying to hurt you, right? If you knew all that. Now, by then, we all know the standard procedures that happen when someone's killed or injured or murdered or attempted to be murdered. Mm-hmm. Now, all I know is it appears like I have a few scars in my hand, a few cuts on my cheek here or there, right? And my eyebrow was shaved off after the accident. But if that happened to me and the windshield broke off on the driver's and passenger side, right? And little Roddy too would have to raise his hands up and wasn't cut at all. Anyone else? Don't even try to bring my mom into it or what, right? I know you're lying. I know you're lying. And the reason is, my mom came to the location of the wreck and saw me being loaded into the ambulance, right? She knows I survived the wreck, right? But if something else happened and the car was wrecked on purpose, that would be after I was knocked out or something and someone trying to cover up what happened there too, right? Like at the fall. Using dead man's curve to hurt me, right? But whatever they did to me, I survived it all, right? I don't remember all. I can only guess what might could have happened, but based on movies, like I said, right? What is that? The breath of life still in this body. Right. And again, I have no way of editing anything. I don't edit, right? These are raw videos, long videos. The reason they're long is a ghost cannot communicate with someone resurrected from the dead. Repeatedly can't, right? And I'm also fully healed because I have no more injuries to my body. It's like, everything they did to me, whether I remember it or not, is completely healed since then. And I'm telling you what I remember before then and after then, and naming my suspects in both attacks, right? That's their problem too. So like I said, I know you're up to something. And I'm not trusting Mr. Thomas, Mr. Thompson, or any of my neighbors anymore either. I'll have to defend myself. Bye.